There we go. So, welcome. Happy Tuesday. Happy pre-Fund 8, which officially really starts on Thursday. And you are visiting a series of insight sharing workshops, it's called, from the Catalyst School, which is there to help you have a safe and smooth way into Project Catalyst. The insight workshops, they are mostly set up for exactly the same reason why we have an insight sharing phase in the beginning of each funding round. Means we share already insight, visions, ideas, tasty experiences, whatnot, before or actually submitting the first proposal, right? To have already a certain insight, inspiration, some tasty stuff, which might then be adapted and adjusted into our proposals. So here it's all about scale up community apps. Short background story to this. Cardano aims to be a global community, right? And right now we see that, let's say 80–90% of the people who work on Cardano are managed people around 30–40 years in the Western civilization, right? And if we say, hey, okay, we want to build global solutions and effective global solutions, we have to think also, okay, how can we build global solutions by local participation? When we say, no, okay, scale up community hubs, I make a community hub in London, in the Apple and in the heart of London, and I get shitload rich with ADA back in the early days or something like this, because it doubled. I say, hey, I built a community hub here. Well, and I pay, let's say, $50,000 for a meeting where I invite people. And we have to say, oh shit, it's a great proposal maybe, but does it really helps us and supports Cardano in the mission to build a global system, right? And a global system on many aspects. It's not only about tech and coding, right? It's about having people on the ground, identify challenges which local communities are facing, because people from, for example, Uganda are facing very different problems the people from Berlin are facing, right? And this is what the challenge is about as well. So I go to share the screen for a second. And I will run through a short introduction. It will not take too much time. And will take between maximum 15–20 minutes, I think. And then we open up for a Q&A. During the presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to stop me. Feel free to shoot directly in. You can act however you want. If you raise your hand, we will recognize this as well and give you a second to speak about what you want. So, sharing the screen to, give me a second, this one. So, Fund 8, scale up Cardano's Community Hubs Challenge. The main question of the challenge is, how do we encourage local community hubs to drive adoption and awareness of Cardano in the year 2022? A total budget of $500,000 worth an ADA is available for the challenge. And nice background information about challenges. I think so far one of the most successful challenges in Project Catalyst, because it was already submitted and funded in Fund 5 and 6 as well. Always submitted by the same person, Josh Fielding, who's an amazing, good person, one of the founding members of the WADA team as well. And definitely a great challenge here proposed to the Catalyst community. So, what the challenge is about. In this round, the challenge will mainly focus on MV8s, minimal viable hubs. And address also the question, what is the smallest effective unit for a hub? Does it need to be 10 people or 20, 30, 300? As we go forward, you will see that Josh has an extremely interesting idea with this challenge, and we really try to capture his vision as well, because it's extremely impactful. And if you, as a proposer, want to submit a proposal, you should definitely address the challenge effectively as well. So we'll go a little bit at very first simply about the, let's say, main objectives and purposes of the challenge. Because why? By identifying this, for example, units or standards, we can begin to scale CCH, so Cardano community hubs, more rapidly and more effective as well. So, well, we have this challenge, and the challenge tells us already how a good solution should look like. And we look from it from two perspectives. Once from a proposer perspective, on the other side from a community advisor perspective. And you should definitely, in writing your proposal, include also the perspective from the community advisor on your proposal, because it's a community advisor who will assess and rank your proposal. So the likelihood of getting voted and funded relates a lot to the community advisors, and they will rate and rank your proposal really in guideline to the challenge. Does your challenge fits to the, does your proposal fits to the challenge brief? And for example, one might be in this regard, that proposers should focus much more on minimal value hubs, pilots, to experiment and explore the creation, growth, and maintenance of community hubs. Can be very different topics. Can be virtual and in real already. So you can organize local community hubs where you, I don't know, you make a how do you call this if you rent a building, you know, and you invite people, yeah, gathering. In a local space where you encourage the people directly on the ground to join and to learn about Cardano and Catalyst, or you probably make it to, you bring it to a broader spectrum and you say, okay, you make it as an online event and you invite whoever has internet and accessibility and will join. Another good solution could look like that there's an initiative who comes up with ideas which allows us to adapt and adjust discovered formats across local communities and challenges. It means in this regard, you as a proposer, you should have a look, is your solution also adaptable and adjustable to other local contexts? What you discover in Berlin, is it helpful for a project in Sri Lanka? Is it helpful for a project in Spain? What they can learn from your project also. Or you have a project, for example, who is really strong in documentation, and you say, oh, okay, we documentate and track a project, and we want to create a playbook out of it, but not as the actual executors of the meetup, but I want to provide those services to a meetup organizer, for example. And help him with this to create a really nice layout and a nice documentation from the X to 0, whatnot. Say, okay, the whole process from initially starting a community hubs over several months, it's documented, and as it's documented, then it's also directly for sure transferred to other projects. Yes, which was the last point. Cool. I forgot to click the button. Sorry for this. Then, as a community advisor, and this is written in the challenge already, community advisors are recommended to check the proposals by following points. That a proposal has a budget cost to launch ratio between 1 to 1.5. I'm not exactly sure what this means. Maybe we should take a minute to discuss this later. Proposals that do not exceed 5% of the total challenge budget, this is a really important one. So, because Josh had a really nice idea as well, but to this we come to the next point, because do not exceed 5% of the total challenge budget means we have a budget of 500,000 US dollars, 5% in this regard means 25,000 US dollars. The main goal here is to really allow as many projects as possible to kick off their solutions and not say, okay, we take 2 proposals who have 250,000 in the budget calculation, for example, and they plan mega events or whatnot. No, it's not about this. It's mainly really about getting the feet wet already on best practices, first principles, best discoveries, how to build community hubs. Then proposals that account for local needs and infrastructure concerns. The CS will also be recommended to check the proposal on that shows creativity and ingenuity around hub design and information delivery. So as in Catalyst, out of the box, creative, innovative ideas are definitely appreciated, are very welcome. And proposals that are using local recyclable materials and have a commitment to sustainable practices. Beautiful point as well. How is it possible to create, for example, carbon neutral community hubs, right? One of Cardano's mission is to go green. And that's definitely a point which is reflected here as well. Then what do we have next? Okay. So, like mentioned, let's go into the specifics later then in the discussion. A short wrap-up again. Instead of creating monster projects in the Community Hub Challenge, the main purpose is that the proposals come and that the challenge allows us to launch a series of pilots to identify best practices and to adapt and adjust successful formats. Means we are looking for playbooks, we are looking for blueprints, best cases. And we can say also our, let's say, best practices, protocols out of practice. At first, we want a bunch of people coming up with great and strong ideas, or who are already executing, for example, the maintenance of community hubs, because it's what I started some months ago already. We want to identify really what is a really key criteria to successfully and effectively build a community hub, and to use this discovered formats then and adapt and adjust it over, let's say, geographic locations. One really nice example for this is, for example, I just stop to share my screen for a second. Catalyst Swarm started as a call on Discord beginning of last year. Some folks coming together say, hey, we need to communicate, because building a community only on Telegram and Discord, well, it doesn't really make it, right? So put faces to names. It's a great achievement. This was the main purpose of Swarm on the beginning, simply inviting people and to chat about relevant stuff in Catalyst. This then evolved into the after town hall, what we have now. Between this, we took our experiences and said, hey, okay, town halls and everything is only on English. And we have a bunch of community members who are not so comfortable with speaking English or expressing themselves in a second or third language. Said, okay, how can we use what we have learned here in a local context? And this was the beginning when we set up the Eastern Town Hall. The Eastern Town Hall is a group of community leaders and managers from the Indonesian, Vietnamese, and Japanese community. And each second week, we invite those communities to join the event, where you use exactly the same structure, just the breakout rooms are in local language. The people speak in their native language about everything what happens in Catalyst. Out of this experience, then we said, okay, cool. Now we have a huge pool of resources and knowledge and experience. And then we supported the emergence of the Latin American Town Hall, which simply, they don't have to discover everything by themselves. They simply copy paste everything over what has been discovered so far into their local context and simply translate the stuff, right? So from a beginning where we had some folks coming together chatting in English, because we always looked on, okay, how can we make it adjustable and adaptable to other communities? A first small group of Discord folks transformed into a town hall after town hall, transformed into Eastern and Latin town hall, and now each week there are meetings going on in Vietnamese, Japanese, Indonesian, Portuguese, Spanish, and English. This, for example, a really nice example and experience directly out of Catalyst, how this could look like. In this regard, another really nice and strong, I think, achievement is as well as all projects are extremely connected. And there's always a coordination and a collaboration. When it comes now to implementations or to that you improve your format, for example, a Catalyst school who is coming and providing their workshops in the first and the after town hall, and then saying, hey, cool, okay, we go also in the Eastern town hall, translate all the content from there then into Indonesian, Vietnamese, and Japanese. With this establishing already a first experience, you can say, hey, cool, it's really easy to make the same for the Spanish and the Portuguese people now. So that also new projects which are coming in, they have directly their place in a strong network already, and generated value can be translated, adapted, and adjusted across all of them.
Would that just one thing? It's not only about copying something that exists, but always adapt it to your local context. So I mean, each experience obviously have their specifics, and obviously it changes because of it. And the cool thing is with this network, every new experience could be shared with the original instance. So it's kind of a circular way to learn together.
Exactly. And having feedback loops. I think here now with this challenge, we have a very similar challenge which addresses exactly this, right? If you come up with an idea and a project, it's great. And if you succeed, if even greater. But if you're able to share your success with other projects that they can learn from you and have an easier way already getting the stuff done, then the greatest of all things is achieved. A natural collaboration between folks who are aiming to do exactly the same thing, right? Because the people who want to set up community hubs, they have a very good reason for doing so, right? Because Lise, Lucas, as I met you, yeah, it perfectly fits to you, right? And it perfectly fits to what we want to do in Cardano and Catalyst. That overall community hubs are mostly made already to say, I like to base community hubs on 3 crucial pillars: communication, coordination, and collaboration. On these 3 criteria, you can measure very effectively if a project works well or not. And why do we want to do this? By increasing communication, coordination, collaboration, we create something what we like to call it a center of gravity. Because if you have some folks who are extremely dedicated into a topic and they start now to generate value, it creates an atmosphere around, and this attracts other people, right? And they join them. And in this epicenter around, you increase naturally already the communication, coordination, collaboration. And this is the whole purpose also of what we have with Idea Fest and After Town Hall, Challenge Fest, and all this stuff. Because you, as a meetup organizer, you don't want to control what the peoples are doing, right? You want to provide an open and inclusive space where whatever might happen can happen actually. And you are the pioneers, right? You are shepherds of an environment which tries to proactively include a broader community in Project Catalyst or Cardano. And why? Because we rock and we like and we need more people to rock. That's my pitch. There we go. Yeah, you're kidding, but it's true. Huh? come somebody and tell me I'm lying. Okay.
You go, yes.
Then next to it, I have something for you as well, because some might be already very familiar with writing proposals in Project Catalyst. Some maybe not. So it's something I started last found the first time. I tried to come up with a, let's say, proposal template, which helps you a little bit to structure and organize your proposal to the official guidelines. Just give me a second. I will share the link with you here as well in the live chat. Is it the right one? Ah, it's not the right one. Forgive me. Okay, it's this one. Oh, there we are back. Sorry, was lagging for a second. This document, don't see it as it's written in stone and everything. It's just by own experience, the knowledge. Okay, how does a proposal need to look like from the structure? Each time you see a short sentence in green, which gives you some direction already. See this really just as a help, a direction and a guideline. But you should not take it for granted or for, yes, this is 100% set in stone. At first, you have some questions, they are obligatory. And you see behind as well, there's a character limit to it. This part here is extremely important. This is the part the most of the voters will read. And unfortunately, the most of the voters, they will not read all the rest who comes after. They read only this, because this is what's appearing on the voting process as well. So make sure to be really strong on your formulation, extremely clear, and a little hypey. Be careful with the voter vocabulary. If you go, for example, increasing diversity through community hubs, you might risk that you will not get voted and funded. Understand the voting vocabulary. We are in a very tech-based environment, and we have a very tech-based developer community as well. And a lot of the people who vote are not actually people who are extremely engaged in Catalyst. Just because you have some great friends and collaborators in Project Catalyst does not mean you will have a huge success in the voting, because the voters, they never met you. They never heard about your project. They never saw you. And they don't really care about it, maybe. And those are people who are very committed to Cardano because they believe in the tech. If you come with some formulations which triggers a little bit like what we saw from our experience, Cardano for climate, empowering women, bringing more women, stuff like this, naturally gets downvoted. And here, a really smart tip. Play with the vocabulary, make everything very clear in your proposal, but try to hide when you go into a little, let's say, alternative and creative direction. Try to not mention this too clear in this very first paragraph. Cheat the voters a little bit like this. For example, one example, we had a proposal with the bridge builders, which is called Leadership Academy. Leadership Academy. Oh, this sounds fucking great. Leadership Academy is executed only by women. Nobody knows this. If we would have stated this like this, that like woman leadership, we would never have get voted and funded, right? So play a little bit around with it. Make it boosty, make it NFT, and DAO and all the fancy shit, play a little bit with the voters, and then map out everything here, because you can make sure 80% of the voters will not read what comes later, right? So we have two different proposals. You have the top layer at the top part here, which is addressed to the voters, and the rest, which is addressed specifically to the community advisors and the Cardano community, which then has the need to make sure that your proposal is feasible and auditable as well. But this part here, you really mainly write for the community advisors, because they will not have such a big look on your first part. This is really, it doesn't make a lot for a community advisor. The community advisor will rank your proposal on 3 main criteria. And those main criteria you list in the heart of your proposal then. Once the impact, does your proposal effectively address the challenge purpose? That's my proposal. Lucio is laughing because he created an awesome meme. But yeah. So does your proposal effectively address the challenge? Then the feasibility. How likely is it that you arrive to successfully implement your proposal? And the auditability. How auditable and provable is the progress of your report, of your proposal, of your project? Is it possible because you apply for community funds, so you're accountable to the community itself? And you have to give the community an easy possibility to audit and prove that you hold what you proposed in your proposal. Then I recommend you to add additional points, add adjustability to risks, because once you submit your proposal and after the deadline, you still have to wait 2 months until you receive your funds. In 2 months, there's a hell of stuff which can go on in 2 months. How is your proposal, if voted and funded, how reactive can you be to unexpected changes as well? If there's something changing, are you able to adjust to this? And as well, a little bit about your risk. Each project has a certain risk to fail, right? And we don't have to hide it. Even better, if you are able to identify the risk by yourself and to show the community already, you really take it serious. You do not only make a proposal to promote only the bright side of a potential nice idea. No, you also come up from yourself already with a critical point perspective and say, okay, this might be points where we could really struggle or fail. Then write down a roadmap. Doesn't need to be extremely detailed. You can simply go by Q1, Q2, Q3, quarter 1, 2, 3, explaining a little bit, okay, what is this about? Lay down a little bit overall the KPIs and OKRs of your project. So the key performance indicators and the operational key, what was it again, Lucia? Operation and key OKRs.
Objective key results.
There we go.
It's written there. I just read it.
Cool. So, I should read my text simply. Cool. And at the end, for sure, a budget breakdown. There also, you don't need to go too much into specifics, but if you have, for example, a post for moderation, community events, documentation, PR and marketing, just map it down and you write your post to it. Below, you find some nice links as well, which might help you in crafting your proposal. I love to to directly point to Catalyst School, which you say is in the slide deck as well. There's a link on the last slide. They schedule a series of workshops, how to propose, how to become a community advisor and veteran community advisor in the beginning of each funding round. The workshops are for free, as it is a funded proposal, and everyone is able to join them. You can ask for group support, for a group session, where you can join. You can ask for one-to-one as well in a bunch of different languages, where experienced and kind of well-skilled community veterans will take some time to help you. And here, feel free to copy paste the stuff, paste it over to a document owned by you, and play around.
I want to add just a detail that for this fund, basically the submission form will be different. So it will be already splitted in the different sections that are needed. So a lot of things that you are seeing in this example document, they will be directly fields in the proposal form. So it will be easier to get the correct structure. And also one important thing that maybe is missing from this document, it's to talk about the team that will execute your proposal. So if you already have a team, it could be really important to describe their experience, their knowledge, their skills, and this could be another way to demonstrate the feasibility of your proposal.
So I would like to ask a question. Can you tell us about the voters? How do you become a voter for this project? What's the profile of a voter?
The profile of a voter means you have to hold minimum 500 ADA right now,
Yeah.
which allows you then to vote for or against all proposals which have been past the Q&A phase, so which have been reviewed by the community advisors and veteran community advisors.
Okay. So how many voters do you expect to have at the next round for?
Good question. I think this round we casted something around, what was it, Lucia? 270,000 votes?
270,000, 50,000 votes and about 50,000 wallets. That it doesn't mean that are 50,000 people, but because one person could have multiple wallets, but just a metric. Keep in mind that the amount of ADA that each voter holds determine their voting power. So it's kind of you have to it's not only about the number of people that you're actually convinced to vote for you, but it's the right people in some way, because they have to hold a good amount of ADA to be sustainable. And
yes.
Just to give you an example for the community apps, let me check. I can't find it. Just a sec. Where it is. In the last fund for this specific challenge, the most voted proposal got 200 million ADA of yes.
Okay.
And from 300 unique wallets. So this is kind of the balance that you can
understand.
And you can find here in the chat the 4 results from the previous funds.
So sometimes one vote can weight a lot more.
Yep,
okay.
Definitely.
Let's say, for example, when you all hold, let's say, 10,000 ADA and I hold 1 million, and you all vote for one project and I vote against the project will lose. Right? Because my 1 million will dominate. So it's like the situation is right now. It will definitely change, but it's what we have to drive with.
And also, this is the reason why Felix told you before to be catchy in some way for tech people, because probably the people who owns the larger amount of ADA are early adopters. So basically, they are probably tech people in some way.
Understand the profile. And can I ask just another thing on the slide? there was this line that you couldn't explain, proposal that have a budget cost to launch ratio between 1 to 1.5. How can we find out about this?
Not exactly sure what is mentioned by this, and I can ask Josh what exactly he wanted to point out there.
Yeah.
But maybe someone here, Lucio, do you have an idea?
I imagine, but just an interpretation, that basically when you create your budget breakdown, you will have probably some costs for the launch of your project, and then you have some cost to maintain it. And probably the idea is here to, I would say, have like the one, I don't know how to interpret the numbers, but I imagine that it's kind of half of the budget or less than half of the budget at maximum should be allocated to the launch, and then the other to maintain the project.
Makes sense. Okay, great. But we're gonna find a place so we can view this video again, right?
Yes, we will upload it in the Catalyst School YouTube channel. I will share the link here.
And normally it's also on the last side you see as well, the Catalyst School workshops. There you have a link for the Catalyst School link tree. And there you will see also, I think all the upcoming events and workshops will be posted there as well. And definitely stay tuned with them.
Okay, super. Thank you.
I'm sure there are more questions. Come on. Shoot.
Yeah, do you mind if we go a little bit over the timeline for the next few months, like when when all the key dates are coming up?
Yes, we can definitely do this. For example, that you can go on Catalyst 1, and when you go on Project Catalyst, you will see there is this fancy clock here where you can orientate on a little bit. So nice. February 18th from 8 starts with the insight sharing. This is exactly where we are right now because it's the 22nd. Then you see it's always around this because there might always be some things who happen and the dates can change. But around the 24th or 25th, it's on Thursday, the proposal submission starts. This 24th. Exactly. But might change. I keep in Catalyst always on when take nothing for granted, everything might change. All the time. And this is when the proposal submission starts. In the proposal submission, when you scroll down, you have a very brief explanation as well about the related phases. Here is the part now, you have 1 week from Thursday to submit your very first draft proposal already. But make sure your draft proposal is submitted, because after the proposal submission phase, you won't have any possibilities to submit new proposals. Submit your draft, and now we got 2 more weeks, 1 week, which is called the proposal refinement phase. Once you have your first proposal draft on idea scale, you will see there are people who are reading already through your drafts and they will comment on your proposal. They will recommend some things to you, for example, or they will ask some questions. They will see already, hey, this is missing in your proposal, please add this. And you should definitely be in feedback with the comments, because it might be possible as well that you find amazing people there who come and say, hey, did you thought about this and that? And said, wow, dude, this fucking makes a bunch of sense. Cool, thanks. We will definitely add this in our proposal, right? So the proposal refinement and finalizing phase is a phase where you invite the community to, so let's say, to contribute and participate to your proposal. Because the main goal in Catalyst is that we want to build the best ideas, the best solutions, right? In a collaborative manner. After the proposal finalizing phase, then the proposals are locked. This is the point now where you won't be able to edit your proposals anymore. They are locked. I don't know if it's still the case, but normally since last funding round, the comment section is still open. So comments, you can still communicate via comments on your proposal, but you are not able to edit your proposal anymore. So make sure everything important, everything is written there, because this is the proposal the voters will see and will vote for as well. After the proposal review, you as proposer have a special right now. Because let's say there comes a community advisor and says, I don't like Lucas' face, his proposal is shit. Well, Lucas in this regard says, okay, thanks a lot, anonymous community advisor. I appreciate your feedback, but this doesn't fit at all to how you should fucking assess my proposal, right? Because the community advisors have a very clear guideline. And in this phase now, you have the possibility to flag those assessments. You can say, hey, I'm not agree with this assessment because maybe the assessor gave you a really low star ranking just because he don't like your face, maybe really. And you as a proposer, you have the possibility now to say, no, I'm not agree with this assessment. And you provide a rationale which proves, okay, the community advisor is wrong. Then in the next phase, it goes to the veteran community advisor. Their job now is they will review the assessments from the community advisors. The community advisors review the proposals. The veteran community advisors review the community advisors. And they will also decide if a flagged assessment, so when you as a proposer came and said, hey, I'm not agree, it's also the community advisors who will decide, okay, who is in the right here? Do they filter out the really bad assessment? Or do they say, no, maybe you made an as well a shitty flag as the assessment, as the CA made the assessment. Let's say the community advisor says, hey, this proposal makes no sense because I don't like his face. And you say, hey, yeah, but you are a fucking asshole. This is your flag. Then, well, do not forcefully count that the VCAs will take the assessment, right? So yeah, make sure to provide a strong rationale as well. When this is done, now the proposal have passed the whole process of Project Catalyst, and now comes to the last phase where voting starts, and now the voters are able to vote for or against your proposal. This is how you can plan your journey in a Catalyst round a little bit.
Yeah. But then, yeah, sorry, I just had one more point. So after the voting takes place, but then essentially we should plan for our projects to start probably in May 15th or something like this, right? Because you said that the ADA doesn't come into place until 1 month or so after the decision has been made about who gets what. Is this correct? So we should plan for somewhere in May or even June to begin really the starting of the project?
Exactly, yes. It always takes a certain time because voting mostly takes around 10, 15 days, something like this, 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then until it's announced. And then it still takes a certain time until you receive your first funds for your project as well.
And also consider that you will not receive all the funds that you requested in one time, but there will be multiple chunks based on the deadline that you provide as an ending for your proposal. And you will receive basically, I don't know, if you ask, for example, for $10,000 and your project will last for 3 months, you receive the 4 batches and equal amount for each batches. And the first one is just at the beginning of your project, so after the voting, and then you will receive for each month the other batches.
I would
And the last batch will be distributed only if you actually prove that you delivered your project.
Yes. And also to this, once you got voted and funded, there's a process which takes place now. Then you're invited into the it's called now the coordinators, means all the funded proposals, where you have at very first you have to come to into a Zoom live session where you have to provide a proof of life. Means also in regard to say if there is a group who submits several proposals in a challenge or across several challenges, make sure if you have a team that each proposal is represented by a specific person from your team. Keep this in mind already because it will help you a lot to move smoothly through the whole process, because you will be invited into a coordinator's call and a proof of life. It's one of the most boring calls in Project Catalyst because you just have to come to say, I'm Felix, I represent the funded proposal in this challenge, and then it moves to the next person. We count on something like 300 funded projects next funding round, so it will be an amazing boring call because you just hear name, proposal title, and challenge title during a whole hour. And next to it then, you will receive a very first test transaction to the wallet you provided as a payment address. You will receive one ADA as test transaction, which you have confirmed per mail. And the next step then is that there is what is the very first step? It's an onboarding form. It's a Catalyst works fully on Google Forms. Without Google Forms, there wouldn't be any Cardano governance. Kind of funny, which means there will be a very simple Google form you have to fill out, where you provide who is the person who is responsible for the proposal. And this is now also the moment where it's interesting that you can say you submit a proposal, but you have a team. And you decide, okay, Lisa is responsible for this proposal. Lucas is responsible for this proposal. This you fill out in the form already. And from there then, like Lucio mentioned, you will receive after this the first batch of your funds. The reason why IoT does not send out all the batches, all the funds at once is simply to avoid that people receive funds, run away with the budget, and will never execute the proposal.
And also in the next months, you will have to submit a very simple form for your progress. So each month you will have just a simple form to describe how your project is going, if you face some problems, if you need some assistance from the Catalyst team, something like that. And this is the condition to receive the next batch of funding, because you have to provide some proof about your activity and the development of your project.
And how do we reach the Catalyst assistance team?
There is an email address open for that, and you will have contact from the basically people in IoT that directly you can interact directly with them.
Can you post that email in the chat, please?
This is only if you get funded. It's just okay. It will be safe. Okay.
And next to this, you can count on a bunch of very experienced and very skilled community members who will help you along all the phases. In the submission, in the execution, in wherever you need help, you can count on an extremely vibrant and happy to help community to say, what do you need? Hey, cool, let's do it. Okay. Didn't went now? Okay, let's try it next funding round or the one later. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
And one thing important to mention is about during the submission stage, And so basically, before the proposals are locked, it's really important to look at the other proposals that are in the same challenge. Because if there is an opportunity for collaborate with someone else, it is really possible to increase the chances to get voted and get funded, because it is we experienced it in previous rounds, when we see that when proposals are merged, they can reach more people, so they can effectively address better the challenge, and the chances to get funded, it's probably higher. Obviously, this could be, it's a choice. You have to find the right people to collaborate with. But I think there is, for this specific challenge, it could be really interesting. For example, if your proposal focus on just one aspect of the community hub that you want to replicate or pilot, and another proposal focus on another aspect, maybe it makes sense, if there is some reason, to merge them to create a proposal together. And obviously the result will be stronger, because you will address two different use cases, not only one.
Sorry, just to go back over that. So are you saying that you could essentially apply for two different proposals within the Scale Up Community Hub, like the same organization, the same group could apply for two different proposals?
Yep.
Is that okay?
Yep. What I'm saying is not only this, you can apply for multiple proposals, but you can also find other proposals in the same challenge that are something in common with you. And maybe you can collaborate with them. Instead of just submitting your proposal, you can create one merged proposal with another team, and the result probably will be stronger.
Okay.
And as it is already overwhelming, again, some links and overwhelming data for you, because since last month, we have also a new role in Catalyst, which is called the challenge teams. And the challenge teams are also, challenge teams are people who take, let's say, responsibility for a specific challenge, like here, Scale Up Cardano's community hubs, for example. And their job is to, at very first, to have an overall overwatch of how the challenge is performing, and also how the funded proposals are performing. And I add a link here. There you will see the challenge teams, which are signed up so far, and you will see there is a group, there's their own team for the challenge, for the Scale Up Cardano's Community Hub challenge as well. And those people, they are paid as well in a later stage. They just signed up now, and once proposals get voted and funded in the challenge, this team is also there to help you along the way. So you can count on a lot of roles, really, which does everything what is possible to make your proposal, your project succeed. And if you say, for example, now you are a proposer, and you say, wow, this matters a lot for you, for the next funding round, when the submit proposal is again voted and funded, you can submit as well yourself to the challenge team. Challenge team, everybody who signs up, everybody is invited to become a challenge team member. The original submitters of the challenge, they have the first right to say, okay, who do I want to have in the team? Let's say I submit a challenge, the challenge gets voted and funded. I have a little bit the right to say, okay, who do I want to have very first in my challenge team? But this challenge team then, their duty is to help the proposals, also to be all fine and happy and successful. Yes. And maybe you like it, and then you sign up for the next funding round or once later for the team. And it's a pilot. It's the newest of all Catalyst roles we have right now. And this is rewarded as well, this incentivized.
I think the main scope of the challenge team at the moment is not about during the process itself, even if it is they are motivated to have an active role in the first stage, but it's more when the proposals are funded, because they are kind of the role that they have to measure the success of the challenge itself. So measure how all the proposals that got funded addressed the challenge brief in the first place. So it's kind of their real work, their paid work, I would say, started when proposals are funded, not
Yes.
before.
It was a big disappointment for a lot of the first challenges.
Yes, exactly.
Because we had to say, what? We are not paid for the work we have done so far? No, great. But yeah. Gesundheit.
I have another question. So like one of the main things that I see that has changed within sort of like this proposal is this new definition of a minimum viable hub.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, like, when you were kind of conceptualizing this as a kind of, you know, strategic point, like what were you kind of thinking was kind of the definition of a minimum viable hub? Has this got to do with the amount of ADA it takes or cost it takes to put this hub together, or in terms of design? Like, yeah, maybe you can share a little bit more context of how you would define a minimum viable hub.
Well, the idea is not from me. This idea comes from Josh Fielding, the original submitter of the challenge. And what I mainly think really to understand the MV8s are really meant to say launch pilots. What is, and there are not really criteria yet, because those criteria we first have to define, right? We first have to identify them. And by having a series of pilots, we allow now across the globe, let's say there's one from Ghana, one from Sri Lanka, one from Canada, one from Peru, whatnot. Now we have the possibility to observe them and to identify first criteria already by the emergence of the projects.
I would add, if you have an idea that is, I don't know, a very broad use case, the best way probably is to split it in more narrow use cases. So be more specific, because it will be a better example of something that could be experimented in other places. So,
okay. Yeah.
and
so
maybe this could be also a strategy. If you have, I don't know, multiple pilots, you can submit multiple proposals, but each one will be specific for some aspects, and in this way you can just work in parallel.
Okay, so essentially, like, you could split between like the design of the community hub and sort of this onboarding progress as one application, and then another one could be about the tracking and documentation. This methodology for tracking and documentation could be sort of like another question that you're trying to answer within the proposal.
Probably yes, but I would try it's a bit tricky, because consider that each proposal should be autonomous in some way. So you have, if only one get funded, you have to deliver what you say to, you want to deliver. So if you only focus on the auditability of another proposal, probably they are too much interconnected, and it will be something not really feasible if only one of them will be funded. Maybe an example could be, I want my use case is create courses for developers, for Haskell developers, and my other use case is something for the artists that could use NFTs, I don't know, something like that. These are two use cases that can coexist in the same place, in the same community hub, but they are two different experiences autonomously. The topic is really specific, and could be, each one could be replicated in other parts of the world. So instead of submitting one proposal with the two of them, I maybe submit two proposals only with the specific topic.
And also another point, Lucas, because you said before, okay, so you should count on March, April to start to execute your proposal if you get voted and funded. I would not recommend, because the approach of a lot of very successful community initiatives, you don't submit proposals, you are a proposal. And you execute already. If you have funds or not, you don't give any shit, you execute. If you get voted or funded, you don't give any shit, you execute. And which brings you in an extremely strong position to say, okay. And when writing a proposal, then it's mostly a documentation of stuff what is already on place, right? So I would very often recommend, if you really believe in your idea, execute already. Don't wait for the community who legitimates your project via vote. If you are really convicted that you deliver impact, do it. Don't ask anybody for their permission, right? Just do it. And out of this, you will earn already crucial experience and some crucial resources also when it comes then to the proposal, because you can say, hey, in Cardano, we already have made this and that and that and that and that. And when the community advisor comes and sees, okay, they do already, well, feasibility of the project, 5 stars, because they are doing this since weeks and months already, right? So you also create kind of your trusted reputation within the ecosystem. It's kind of funny and sometimes cheaty, because when I go, for example, on the reviews of proposals I submitted, and I just check the feasibility, you can see for a lot of community advisors, it's enough to just see your name in the proposal, and they just give it a fucking high star ranking already. It's kind of funny, but yeah, it matters.
Yeah. Good point.
This has been experienced across several projects within the community. If it's WADA, AIM, Chimba Labs, Catalyst School, Swarm, a lot of these projects, none of us had big resources to start. Mostly it started on volunteer-based, but which allowed you to have a really strong commitment, because it's not about first incentives first, right? And this creates you, let's say, like social credits. And those social credits are transformed then into financial resources when your project gets voted and funded. But first build on your social credits. It's kind of funny how you can transform this in Catalyst.
And this approach could be also useful, because if you act like a proposer instead of just submitting the proposal, you can also start market your proposal before, and this is a way to get in touch with voters, which they are in the end decide everything. So if you if you have the chance to have a media impact in some way, just before or during the process itself, it could be really useful. And this is, for example, the case of the Swarm or the case of the school. It's kind of, we start delivering before get funded, and people already know us because maybe joined the Swarm session or the Catalyst School session. And obviously it's an assurance for a voter, because they already know that you are delivering, you are committed, and they can trust you.
And Christopher, Jerry, Jenny, Angela, Richmond, Afia, Daniel, feel free to shoot as well if you have questions or ideas, visions.
This is just on MVPs. Does that mean you have to have in mind the number of persons who will be coming in-house? If you have if like you have in mind the hub that you want to set up, does it mean you have to get a specific number that will come in-house when writing the proposal? Does that come in mind? Did you understand
Half of it.
about the MVP minimum? Yes. So
The minimum viable hubs. Yes.
viable hubs. Yes.
Mhm.
So when creating it, does the number in-house counts whilst writing the proposal?
If I get Richmond right, is trying to ask the number of people who have access to the hubs. Do have number of people who is supposed to that what qualifies it to be MHV?
So how many people make a hub you want to ask? Or I don't get it.
Richmond, what is the question?
Yeah, exactly. Like so far, let's say in a hub, right, or a location where you are setting a hub, should we have, let's say, a minimum number of people coming in-house? So that, let's say, according to the budget, it will really balance what you have in-house. I don't know if you get it.
Okay, so therefore I think it was a little touched on before already.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly how many people make a hub, right? And also when you say, for example, when Lisa and Lucas, they submit a proposal, they will have to submit a proposal and the budget accordingly to Berlin, which is kind of expensive. You are in Uganda, right? You have a total other budget. You are asking for the same amount, let's say, for example, but as you act in local context, you have a much bigger budget available than Lucas and Lisa have in Berlin, right? And the success of your hub should not be how many people are there since the beginning. For example, if you count, I would recommend you, for example, to say, start to work with 5 people, 5, 10 maybe. Don't shoot too high and much more take the focus on, okay, how do you grow your hub then? Because now we have Fund 8, right? And when your project gets voted and funded, for example, you know already, oh, Fund 9 is coming as well. And this challenge might exist also in Fund 9. And then you come with the follow-up proposal already. On the beginning, don't shoot for too much participants. Don't set in your head, oh, 400 participants and only then we are a hub. No, that all. Start small, start extremely realistic, and it's each time much more comfortable to how do you say, to extend your expectation, to pass your expectations, than to not being able to deliver. Do not write in the proposal, we aim as a KPI, for example, be careful to not saying, okay, we aim to have a weekly attendance of 400 people, something like this. Keep in mind, it's the very beginning, now you start a hub and everything good starts small. Because also the success of your proposal will be related to the KPIs you provide as well, to your goals, right?
Thanks.
And in general, I think it's really the scope of the challenge to have small use cases, because kind of they should be pilots, they should be examples that could be replicated. So probably prepare proposals that aim to a small amount of people, but that will be an example that will be developed, realized, and delivered. It's more important that saying that you will reach a large amount of people.
Exactly. I think this really, especially in this challenge, because it's a very specific one, because it's one of the only challenges where you have a direct recommendation from the challenge proposer who recommends to the community advisors already to take care of those criteria and to ask a very specific budget frame for the proposals already. In this case, 5%, for example, which says, oh, okay, 25,000. And this is stated in the challenge already. I think it's the very first time in general that I see something like this in Catalyst. I definitely like it. I think it's beautiful. But yeah, the main purpose is really to create a series of, let's say, autonomous, collaborative pilots all across the globe, identify patterns, get first key learnings, first very basic on-the-ground experience, make sure that we communicate and coordinate the achievements or failures, happenings at general across the projects, and with this really create very valid and practice-proofed concepts how to start. And maybe in 3 months from now, we will see each other in a following up workshop to say, oh, okay, you have passed the stage. Now, phase 1. Once you build it, now how do you maintain and grow it, right? You initiated it, you gave it the kickoff, or you gave it the kickoff already. Okay, what are the next steps now? Because for sure, with 25,000, you're not able to do a lot. See it really as a calculation to say, okay, this is a budget which enables you in a time frame of 3 months to simply kick off the first stuff, right? And then you plan already for Fund 9 and Fund 10 and 11 and 12.
And even if you don't have a detailed plan for the next funds, mention it in the proposal. It's a really good idea, because you can say to people that you are already planning something bigger. Even if it is explicitly say that it is not in the scope of the proposal and the funding itself, but demonstrate and mention that you have a bigger plan. It's always a good idea.
Okay, thanks. I was about to ask that, but thank you. So let's say, for instance, I'm a proposer. I've won the first round and I've been able to set up an infrastructure, and I have to also finish the place up to let people come in and then get educated. And then in the next round, I couldn't get funding. How could I proceed with the infrastructure? I mean,
Yes, you touch a really difficult point, because this is something what we definitely lack a lot in Project Catalyst. Once you have established your project, for example, Gimbal Labs, a really great developer project within the community, they run through this issue. They got founded in a very early stage of Project Catalyst. I think it was in Fund 2. And this budget allowed them to initiate everything, to set up a team, to set up first services and everything. And they didn't receive funds until 3 funding rounds. They somehow had to survive 9 months without any funds, right? And now again, this only works when your commitment is the right one. Put not financial incentives first. You might run into the issue, but to say, okay, social incentives first, and I am here because I'm really convinced that what I'm doing is impactful and helpful for my environment, nobody will stop you. If you have money or not, you don't give any shit, right? For sure, it's nice then to have funds and to be able to reward people. I mean, for Swarm, it's exactly the same. It took us 8 months from the very beginning until having the first funds, figuring out how we distribute them. 8 months of volunteering, investing own resources, investing a lot of effort, a lot of engagement, building everything up. But what made projects like this so strong is you are able to survive even without funds.
And an alternative approach could be start planning some way to earn money for your project itself. And so start creating some sustainability about your project. Obviously, it is something that it's more complicated. It took probably more time. It takes more time, but I have that in mind that at some point you don't want to rely only on funding from Catalyst, but you want to have your own sustainability. It's something to take into account from the beginning, probably.
Oh, thanks.
And also, community hubs only make sense if there's a community, right? And when you are organizing the hubs already, count on the support as well on your community when you do it right. Doing it right means do not install a top-down approach where you say, okay, each week it's like this and people come and only listen and then thanks for listening, ciao. You try to empower, to encourage people to participate actively. Make them part of your project. A community hub is owned by the community, not by a small group of people, right? And when you have the support and the backup from your community already, it's the biggest help you can receive to pass through difficult times. But make them an active participant. Allow people to identify themselves through your project. Because in this regard now, you are much more a coordinator, right? You take responsibility for your community and you ensure that the resources are there to build this community. But give enough space to the community to develop own projects. Invite them. Hey, speak about your ideas. Speak about your projects. Tell us about your visions. And you are a little bit the shepherds, right? You make sure that the sheep, they're all fine, or like a gardener, that the plants are all fine, the ground is fine. They have water, they have space, they have everything.
And I think one really simple approach to create both of these things, like empower the people that will be in your community and at the same time create a bit of sustainability, it's educate people to make proposals into Catalyst itself, because you can earn a reward for referring people that are submitting and get funded through Catalyst. So maybe this could be the first step, that you create your community hub. You have some people there, you educate them to submit proposals because they have their own ideas, and you can earn money, you can get the rewards if they get funded. So it's kind of, you can create a good approach to have some sustainability at the beginning, even if it is not a specific commercial approach.
If you come in, for example, and say, ah, cool, you like what Catalyst School is doing here, you can say, okay, your proposal, you can add the Catalyst School as referrer, right? Because they've been the folks who brought you in, helped you, whatnot. And with this, if your proposal gets funded, you do not have to pay anything to the Catalyst School, because themselves, they are funded proposal. They are able to provide the services for free to the community. And your thing is just to add them as referral, where they will automatically earn rewards for already.
Okay, that sounds good.
And WADA is doing a lot in this sense as well.
Sure.
And next to it, if you then move forward, you can say as well, okay, let's say your community really grows and wow, there's a whole amazing network growing out by your very first initiative. You can say as well, as you onboard new people into Catalyst and Cardano, we are on a proof of stake chain. So each ADA amount should be staked to somewhere. In a later stage, then you should definitely consider setting up a stake pool, right? And the people you onboard already in the ecosystem, they have a direct relation already with your project, and therefore for the pool, for example. And when the pool then rewards or incentivizes or pays the people who bring new people in, then you say, oh, okay, folks, let's think about this. You join our community, we help you, we support you, we want to use and succeed. We are paid by this pool please delegate to this pool. The delegator will receive already rewards. So he's already rewarded to stake to your community pool. And this community pool now is used to pay the people back to provide the services to them, right? So let's say your onboarded community member is in a beautiful situation now. Because he says, ah, cool, there's a pool. I earn money for it that you are paid to teach me and to support me. It's a kind of beautiful pattern, right? Maybe worth to experiment with it in a later stage. And next to it, maybe see also this pilot as a very first test, because some of you remember in early funding rounds, we had challenges with 50,000, 70,000, right? Now we have challenges with 1 million, 2.5 million, 500,000, all this stuff. As you have, some of you maybe are first-time proposal submitters or submitted already but didn't get funded yet. See your project as well as, hey, this is the first start, which gives you already some legitimacy and some reputation, because in each, once you are funded, in each following funding round, you can state already in a relevant experience, we are funded proposals. We have been already voted and funded by the community. So you bring in your reputation as well, and say as well, then you can submit other proposals and other challenges as well, and ask for a bigger budget, which allows you, for example, to calculate or to cover a time frame of 6 months or 9 months. It's very likely now, as we have very big challenges. Fund 6, we have 12.8 million ADA worth in ADA. Next funding round, I think, once again, it's doubling up. Not 100% sure, but as far as I know, it's once again doubling up, which means you have something around 32 million minus 20% total available. Means, yes, a small team, really dedicated, strong people. It becomes possible now to write one proposal and to pay them full time for 6 or 9 months even. And next to it, I think on the template document I shared with you, you see normally also this is a personal project. Give me a second, because normally there you see also, how do I put it? Can't find it, but yeah, you oh, you don't have the context there. Shit, why do you not have the context there? Okay, if you go back on the proposal stuff as well, I added my email address as well. So if you have your proposal already in the pipe and you need some advice, there are proposal mentors. I call myself as well proposal mentor, so to support projects in submitting their proposals and all this stuff. So happy to read over it and give it some notes, some feedback and some insights.
And also I shared all the social links from the Catalyst School. So we have a Discord server, Telegram server, the YouTube channel with all the recordings for from the various workshops, and the Twitter. So same as Felix just said, if you need support, probably in the Catalyst school, you will find someone that can help you.
Lucio, I should sell my template to the Catalyst.
Okay, it's kind of, I don't know, with the new version of the firm, maybe we can save this money because there would be already there.
No, was a joke, but yeah. And again, you still have time to even to dream about your proposal before it becomes serious. Thursday, 11 a.m. UTC. Ah, maybe there I give you, maybe because maybe some don't know. Best way to find the challenge as well as if you go on the official cardano.ideascale.com. This is the place where we submit. Ah, I was frozen, I think. Ah, anyway, yes, on cardano.ideascale.com. It's the official site where you submit, edit, and finalize your proposal. And it's also the platform where the community advisors will assess your proposal. On the main page, you simply scroll down, and here you find all the challenges available for Fund 8. On Thursday, you go on the challenge where you want to submit a proposal. You are able to submit several proposals in several challenges, as much as you want, as much as you are able to deliver. But you are not allowed to submit the same proposal twice. So it's not allowed to say, oh, okay, you just want to make 100% sure your proposal gets voted and funded. So you copy paste your proposal and submit it as a proposal in each of the challenges. Then on Thursday, when you go on, for example, where is it? Scale up Cardano's community apps, this one. On Thursday, when you go on this challenge and you scroll down, there will be a window where you can directly access to the challenge, where you can see our proposals as well. Then you will see a button somewhere here where it's written submit. And there you will receive you come directly to a page where you submit your proposal directly on the IdeaScale platform. I recommend each team to set up a shareable Google Doc, Google documents, open access and open edit rights to the whole team. And this is a little bit the workspace where your proposal really takes shape, right? Make sure you can add a Miro board to it. You can set up own communication channels and everything. But I would just definitely recommend you set up a draft already, copy paste the template over, take all the green stuff off, and focus on the main topics which I explained there. And from there, then you can copy paste everything over on IdeaScale. What you can do as well, right now we are in insight sharing phase, so you will see also related insights, ideas, whatnot, which are submitted already to the specific challenge. It also helps you sometime already to see, okay, what are people thinking about already about the challenge or the proposals which should be addressed in the challenge or anything related to the challenge. For example, this one is a nice one. Building a community that focuses on understanding blockchain technology and Cardano's mission will be the best way to begin. Targeting already existing groups like schools, colleges, offices, and residential areas, and creating a mesh network of experience center in strategic locations. To see the real-world use cases of blockchain tech and Cardano's role in building these solutions. The hubs will focus on breaking the barriers of language and access to information and infrastructure. Nice. fucking great community. Just need to look around what the people think, what they share, and hopefully it impacts already your proposal and your idea, right? And don't make the mistake also as an early Catalyst participant, don't make the mistake to get interested about all the challenges. There are far too much, there will be a shitload of proposals and you will not be able to catch up with any of them. Try to stick to your focus area. Identify the challenges which fits the best to you and stay close to them. You don't have to understand what is going on in developer ecosystem, nation building, steps and integrations if it doesn't belong to you, right? Use the area to act where you feel strong with, where you feel familiar with. Exactly the same also to the voting. In the voting, you will have the possibility to vote on all validated proposals. You will find more than 1,000 maybe in the next funding round. Focus on those who fit to you. Be active in any regard to Catalyst only in the specific areas where you really fit. This is a match to you. If not, you will be overwhelmed and you will be very lost. Very fast, by the way.
There is something fascinating in being overwhelmed by Catalyst, but maybe you can experience it in the next fund after you get funded.
Anyway, it's nice to have a look around and to say, hey, cool. Maybe you want to set up a community hub, but there's a challenge which is named Grow East Asia, Grow Cardano, or Grow Africa, Grow Cardano, or Grow India, Grow Cardano. So when you are on place already, there isn't one, for example, which mentions Grow Berlin, Grow Cardano. So for Berlin, it would definitely make sense to go in the scale-up community hubs, right? For other projects, you don't have to stick forcefully to the scale-up Cardano community hubs challenge if you feel much stronger to say, for example, hey, you are living in Vietnam and you have already a community in Vietnam and you want to boost it. And you say, hey, there I feel better allocated to Grow East Asia, Grow Cardano. You can play around a little bit. Therefore, really have a look on the challenges which exist. New member onboarding is again something what is really overlapping again to this topic, right? And there you see already, okay, there are some challenges. Grow India, Grow Cardano, new member onboarding, Grow East Asia, Grow Cardano, Grow Africa, Grow Cardano, Scale Up Cardano community hubs. They're all going in the very same direction. So you are not prisoned by a challenge if you want to set up community hubs, for example. But do exactly the same what we did today. Go through the challenge, make sure to understand the challenge, because always the big question, does your proposal effectively address the challenge? This is really important question. And if you feel, another one makes more sense to you, go for it.
Thanks for the information, Bruce, Felix, and Lucio. Much appreciated.
There you take, take it.
I have it all. It's in there.